So I'm just in the village of Ilidanda in a very typical tea house, staying here, hard mattress, nice pictures on the wall, otherwise pretty comfortable, and just spending the afternoon drinking tea, waiting for Dal Bhat, and then no doubt it'll be an early night. So this is our campsite, about 5 hours north of Ilidanda, and 2.5 to 3 hours to Ulangchangola. We were thinking about going the whole way, but decided not to on this occasion, so we set up camp here by the bridge. So just on the trail below Ulangchangola, crossing some big slips, which a little bit hairy, but not too bad. There's certainly been a few worse so far, but yeah, landslides are very common things on this trail, and probably the most hairy parts to walk through, so you have to take it very carefully because it's a long way down if you put a foot wrong. So I'm just at the Gompa above the village of Ulangchangola. It's 465 years old, and the Lama showed us around. We saw some nice old manuscripts and statues, and it's very old and dusky and interesting in there. You can't take photos, so I can't show you what it looks like, but it was an interesting exploration. It's great to be at the village of Ulangchangola. We walked for nearly a week to get here. It's a really beautiful Sherpa village, quite old but out of the way, but yeah, a great place to visit. So I'm just on a four-wheel drive track north of Alangchangola. It's a very recent track that's been built not down to Nepal but up to the border with Tibet and China, and you have to be a very, very good driver and be in a very good four-wheel drive vehicle to navigate this particular road, and I haven't seen any vehicles anywhere, and in fact parts of it look pretty much undrivable and more like they're being used for firewood storage by the locals. But it definitely shows the influence of China in this part of Nepal up near Tibet. Most of the litter that I've seen is Chinese, and a lot of the products in Alangchangola are all Chinese as well. So yeah, interesting that this track exists. Certainly doesn't look like it's being used very much, and we'll shortly be leaving it anyway. About an hour up from the campsite we made last night, which was about 4,000 meters. It was very cold, frosted over quite heavily in the night, and yep, snow around the place, but we lit a very big fire, and it was nice to spend the late afternoon there staying warm by the fire. But this is a beautiful day today, really sunny, and now the sun's come out, it's quite warm and very nice. So yeah, one more camp before the Lumba Sumba pass. The next camp is at 4,700 meters, and given that it was pretty cold last night, I think it's going to be very cold tonight. And to be honest, I think I'm pretty well equipped, but a little bit nervous about both the altitude and the cold. It's pretty cold at this time of year in November. This morning we had a little bit of a discussion after the very cold night last night. We discovered that Rakesh and Sandesh only had one very thin sleeping bag between them, and we were of the understanding that they were bringing two. And we're a little bit concerned as we were going up to Pass Camp today and then over the Lumba Sumba into the camp on the other side, both camps being over 4,500 meters above sea level, that they weren't quite well equipped enough. So we had a bit of a discussion as to whether we should continue on or not, and after some talk we decided that we would go on up, but any small hint of a blizzard or poor weather we would abandon ship and quickly come down, because if it gets too much colder it would be quite tricky and dangerous. As you can see, the altitude is already struggling to talk and walk at the same time. I guess we're at about 4,300 meters above sea level. It's not too bad and it's quite nice, but yeah, walking and talking are not the easiest things to do at the same time. Yeah, this is kind of what trekking's all about, really. Just when you get these really nice days and the mountains are there and everything's there, and and yeah, feeling good. So yeah, it's going to be a cold night tonight. Then I guess we'll be getting up very early and heading up towards the Lumba Sumba Pass. I think it's a 2 or 3 hour walk from the camp. I imagine quite strenuous, and fingers crossed the weather will be good and we'll get mountain views out over Kanchenjunga, Janu, and I think perhaps towards Everest as well. It looks like there's a bit more climbing to go. It must be at about 5,000 meters above sea level now. Definitely not a lot of oxygen, but generally feeling good, and particularly pleased that it's so clear and nice and that we'll be able to see the mountains. So just making our final climb to the Lumba Sumba Pass at 5,200 meters. Feeling pretty tired now. There's a bit more of a hill to go. So one final push and we'll be up at the summit. But yeah, as you can see, it's a bit of a climb.